out of executive or have been out of executive, but we are now restarting the meeting at 7:30, and the next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Can everyone please rise? Okay, so we do have a pretty busy spring and summer. So today will be the final budget presentation and hearing for the 2025-2026 school year. But before we start that, I'll also make announcements for the next set of meetings. On May 12th, Dr. Grip will be joining us virtually to present the updated demographic study. So for my fellow board members, the study is available in Dr. Forte's email that he sends out every 2 weeks. So you could find a copy there. On May 19th, there will be the presentation of the 2025 Denville Schools Persons of the Year Awards. May 25th will also be an executive session in the format of a board retreat that will have conversations about our, not goals, the CSE evaluations. So if board members, if you haven't looked at the evaluations, if you can please make sure that you'll have that ready by the end of this month. So it gives me some time to review it and prepare for it. On June 9th, we'll have the New Jersey school boards here to present the goals recap, our self-evaluation, and then help us set goals for the next school year. It'll also be in a format of a board retreat, and the meeting will start at 6 p.m. So both days it'll be an early start. If you can ensure that the board self-evaluation is done online as well through the New Jersey School Boards tool, that would be great. I was able to go through that and I made it very simple. Also keep in mind that if you have ideas for future goals or for goals for the next school year, whether it's district level, CSE level, or board level, please send me emails. I'd like to go through that during the governance committee meeting so that we can talk about that and start preparing. And our committee meetings are going to be on May 8th. So it looks like IMP will be at 6:30, finance will be at 4:30, and governance will be at 5:30 on May 8th. So, okay, I'll turn it over to the administration for the budget presentation.
Thank you. Previously, Dr. Forte had done this, but this year he gave me the honor to present the budget to you. We begin the budget process early October, and we consult with the school administration as well as the finance committee. We look at past trends to determine our future needs and anything that will be projected in the future. Some of the highlights of the district goals are keep class sizes within the board levels, to maintain current programs, and to continue to address students' achievements and mental and wellness to the staff and the students, as well as to maintain the facilities and be physically responsible. This slide provides an overview of the increases that highly impact our budget. Labor costs and health benefit costs are one of the highest increases that highly impacted this 25-26 school year budget, followed by the special education costs in transportation and technology. We okay? This is a visual representation of the operating budget. If you can see the big portion in blue, $25 million is associated with strictly with salary, followed by the portion in red, $10 million is associated with benefits for the staff. So between salary and benefits, eat up at least 90% of the tax levy and other revenue sources. This is a breakdown of the revenue sources, comparing where the funds arrive from. We allocated 2% of tax levy in the amount of $717,000. We also utilized some bank cap that we did not utilize in past years. We took advantage of students and health adjustments, as well as increase in state aid in the amount of $203,000. This visual representation of the revenue sources provide a good representation of the biggest portion of our revenues, which is tax levy. About 86% of our tax sources derive from tax levy, followed by state aid in the amount of 3.6, or about 8% of the tax revenue sources that we receive. So even though we utilize almost $2 million in increases in tax levy between bank cap, state aid, and other adjustments, we still needed to make some adjustments and cuts to balance the 25-26 school year budget. It was a very challenging budget. Among those adjustments and cuts, we have 2 positions, K through 5, 2 staff members, custodial and technology, some adjustment from full-time to part-time, as well as some supplies for maintenance, instructional, and other programs district-wide. Additionally, the DALA program in the past was fully funded by the school district. Next year will be fully funded by parents' tuition.
I wouldn't mind highlighting a couple things on this slide, because I think this is super important that everybody understands that even though we've raised the tax levy by over 6%, we're still in the need to make some reductions. Now, all of these cuts are not actual people because they're through resignations and retirements. But we are going down 2 K-5 teachers, so 1 in each building. We're cutting a custodian that we have, but again, it's not an actual person because somebody resigns, so the other person will take their job. We're not replacing the retiring technology person, which is a pretty big hit because it was a spot where we were looking to take advantage of something new. Also, this year we were not able to find somebody to teach family and consumer science at Valley View, so we just put it on hold. We kept the money in the budget, but when it came down to it, it was one of the things that had to go. But with some creativity, we were able to take a current staff member who is a staff assistant who has a college degree and was willing to work with Dr. Cullis to get certified as a family and consumer sciences teacher. So this teacher is going to be transferred to Valley View to be part-time family and consumer sciences, teaching 2 periods of 8th grade. So at least the 8th graders will get it next year. And hopefully we can make it more the year after. But next year we'll have 8th grade, and the other part of her day will be being an aide like she is now. And also we have a retiring staff member at Lakeview in a secretary. And we have somebody else that might be getting shuffled around. So again, it's not any particular people, but I think it's really important to highlight some of these things. And there's several other cuts that we had in supplies, some even putting off some purchases of buses. And I guess the worst part of this conversation is, and I think it's really important to get out there though, is that even though we're raising the tax levy by 6%, making these cuts, we're probably set up for another difficult year again next year. If you're reading what's going on around the whole state, I mean, I'm reading it every day, more and more. There's positions being cut, and some extreme examples I've seen, buildings being sold, assets being sold. We're not at that point, but this This thing that we've been talking about for years and years, somehow or another, we used to make it work. This year, there's no way. Also, it's very important to know that while we're cutting this, we are in the need to hire another special ed teacher. And I want to point that out because I've been talking about this for a while, that some of the special education costs are rising at a rate that is going to impact the regular ed program. So at this particular time, we're cutting 2 K-5 teachers and cutting a position from full-time to part-time, at the same time hiring another special education teacher because it's required. But as I pointed out to you in that major concerns document, the rising cost of special ed between out-of-district placements and such, and just the needs is really starting to erode what's going on with our regular ed program.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to note the DALA program was a grant-funded program, and we was partially funded by parents last year, and this year it is fully parent-funded.
Thank you, Dr. Cullis. This budget also includes funds to maintain and upgrade the facilities, utilizing capital and maintenance reserve without placing an additional burden on the taxpayers. Some of the projects that we have coming for the 25-26 school year involve replacing the roof at the Riverview Annex, paving the parking lot for Riverview and Lakeview, network upgrade, and some district-wide repairs that are needed, and all utilizing capital and maintenance reserves. This slide represents the calculation of the tax levy for the 25-26 school year. And if you notice, while the tax levy money increased by almost 6% or $2 million, the tax rate to the taxpayer decreases. And that's due to the assessed valuation in Denville. The property assessed valuation is increasing. Therefore, the tax rate is decreased. The annual tax impact to the taxpayer will be $140. That's for the K-8 school district. That is a $39 decrease from last school year. This slide represents a breakdown of the revenue sources, being again the tax levy, the largest revenue source, followed by state aid in the amount of $3.6 million. It's very small, but this is a breakdown of the operating expense, categorizing into various areas, covering both instructional and administrative aspect of the budget. The regular program is about $10 million, followed by health benefits, about $10 million as well. And this is very tiny historical data that we put together. And it's just about 12 years of historical data, and that you can look at it and let us know if you have any questions, but you can see the difference in tax rate and assessed valuation and increases for the last 12 years. And I would take any questions.
Any board members that wish to ask Ms. Gorowski questions?
If I might, I don't have any questions. I guess first I want to thank Damaris and the team, Dr. Forte, Dr. Cullis. This was a lot of work. This was a hard year. And it's never easy when it's one of the first times I've been on the board that we've had to reduce staff for a program. And as Dr. Forte said, I want to make it clear that we're not eliminating any current personnel because of, changes to their situations or whatever, but we've never even had the chance to reduce the amount of staff. We're always looking to grow the programs. So it's definitely a really, really hard one. It's the last thing that anyone wants to do in this district that I've ever seen. I know it's the last thing that Dr. Forte, Dr. Cullis, and Damaris want to do. But obviously where we are is needed. And I think Dr. Forte said this, and I think I've said it every single year. You can't have, at some point, it's going to break the system. 80% of our budget goes to salaries and benefits that go up well greater than 2% when you've got a 2% tax levy cap. We've been very lucky with S2 to be able to gain additional state funding over the years. We got a little bit extra this time, but not quite as much as other years. We've had to leverage all of our extra waivers that we can and banked cap. So to Dr. Forte's point, there's nothing else to tap into next year in banked cap that we will be able to. But to make sure that we're maintaining the highest level of programs that we can, I think we're doing the right things. This was looked at very, very closely, I think, this year, probably as, not that any other year is not as close, but obviously when you're talking about cutting programs, you really have to make sure that you're not missing somewhere that we could potentially try to save. So I appreciate everybody's work towards it. And I do believe it's the right thing for the taxpayer and the students in the district.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. I'd like to add on to what Mike said. I want to thank the Finance Committee as well as the administration, Damaris and her team. The Finance Committee spent a lot of hours in meetings discussing this, so I want to thank every single one of you for your commitment to it. To follow up what Mike was saying, the dam, I believe, if I'm going to use a metaphor, the dam, I think, is weakening, and I do believe that we are going to see some stressful budget cycles over the next couple of years, as Dr. Forte, so forewarned. Mike's example of the 2% cap, and yet the wages as well as healthcare going up is real. We're probably we're approaching another cycle of negotiations in a year or two. So, we'll be faced with that, and still have to manage the budget with a 2% cap. So, and we need to be competitive. As Dr. Forte said, there's some resignations that we're going to be seeing today. And so somehow we still need to be competitive on top of that. And this on top of, as well as funding our own upgrades. Mr. Cass and Mr. Anderson are frequently say that we are continually updating our assets here, our buildings, through our savings, through our budget, through our reserves ourselves. So we are not currently, we don't currently have any loans. We're not leveraged in any way. So we took that onus upon to our budget and not put that burden on the taxpayer. So with the new developments that are coming up, with the new demographic study, I am nervous. I am nervous to see what that demographic study is going to look like and what that might mean in terms of space, as well as future enrollments and future class sizes. So this will be an interesting next couple of years, a challenge, but I'm sure that we as a group and as a community will overcome. So thanks again. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, please.
I wanted to point out something else if the board is done. All right. So after all the doom and gloom, the positive thing is if we want to do it, we can do a funding question. And we started the process to work on it. It would be a commitment from the board right away, though. This is not something we can keep talking about for months. We have to make a decision because the final thing would have to be to the board, to the county this summer. So between now and the next board meeting, we need to have some meaningful conversations. So with your permission, Mr. Kim, I think we're going to talk about it with the finance committee, see if the finance committee is interested. And then I'd like to have if the finance committee is interested, I'd like to have a public discussion about it at the next board meeting to decide what we're going to do. And if this is something that we have, support for.
Yes, definitely. Please do. I also want to, during governance, reach out to legislators and see if there's anything that they can do on their side to change some legislation to help out school districts. So. Okay, was that it, Dr. Forte, or what?
Yeah, it is. It would be a really for me personally, leaving after the end of next year, it would be great to be able to leave with a little bit better of a fiscally sound nature. And I think that's the only solution that I can think of. So it'll be on the finance ops committee for the next week. I think it's next week. And then I'd like to put it on as a discussion item for the board meeting on May 12th.
Sounds great. Look forward to it.
Mr. Kim, could I just
Yeah,
ask quickly? So you're talking about timing. It would have to be submitted by this summer, and it would be a question on the ballot in November?
We're working all that out. We would prefer to use November because you don't have to pay for the election.
Right.
If you use any of the other dates, you have to pay, which is $30,000 or $40,000. It's a decent amount. We just have to find out the legal logistics of when you can do it. And this thing we're talking about would be something that would take effect and help the 26-27 budget. Nothing to do with next year. This is the way it is, but we could do something to impact the future budgets.
Got it. Okay.
I look forward to the minutes for that meeting. All right, moving on with the agenda. Superintendent comments. Dr. Forte, do you need a minute or are you ready to go?
I think I'm ready. Give me 1 second. So our anxious generation, I felt was very successful. We averaged 100 people at each meeting between the virtual and in-person attendance. I got some good feedback about the panel conversation the other day. One of the feedback, it seemed like one of the themes in the feedback was that they liked the diversity on the panel. Like there was some experts, there were some parents, people from the district. So I was really happy with that. We are going to work on some type of an event for next year, see how that goes. Mrs. Watkins is interested in that. And more to come, but I was really happy with the way it went. And it felt good to get that whole group together and have open conversations. Persons of the year have been out. We have somewhere around 60 people that replied to the survey. I'm going to be meeting with the team, which is the presidents of the PTA, the president of the foundation, Dr. Cullis, and myself. We're going to pick the persons of the year, and we'd like to award them on the 19th of May at the board meeting. Really nice thing that happened with Morris Knowles, which is really goes to our strategic plan, is the Morris Knowles high school boys lacrosse team, along with the Riley family, who's Mr. Riley is the coach of Morris Knowles lacrosse. His child goes to Lakeview, and they ran a fundraiser for the Lakeview pre-K, and they're donating $3,500-ish. It'll be on the next agenda. And I thought that was really nice. That it was a cooperative effort between the high school and our district. Don't forget, we have a half day on May 14th, and we have a long Memorial Day break. We have Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So May 23 through 27. May 27th is Give Back Day for the snow. And that's it for lack of snow days. That's it for my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Forte. Assistant Superintendent comments. Dr. Cullis?
The kindergarten registration update. As of today, we had 71 registered at Lakeview, 68 at Riverview, flexible zone 15, and the total registrations are at 152. We had the families come in at Lakeview and Riverview the last 3 days, so 2 days last week and Monday, today, to turn in all of their paperwork. We have organized a day for the families in the flexible attendance zone to bring in their paperwork here at the town hall, so we can get that going. And so far, it's been going smoothly, and we'll just keep you posted on our numbers. Our COGAT test results will be posted in the Genesis Parent Portal. That's for grades 2 and 5 on Friday, May 2nd by 4 p.m. The 6th grade parent orientation and course information. So that's our transition group from 5th grade to 6th grade. So hopefully as many parents as possible can attend that. A lot of really important information is given out on that night. It's Wednesday, May 7th at 6:30 in the Valley View Gym. The TREPS night at Valley View is Thursday, May 8th at 6:30 in the Valley View Gym. And Valley View Band Concert is on Tuesday, May 13th, also in the gym. So spring is a very busy season. We started our testing season. The window opened today, but testing actually starts tomorrow in Denville. So we have a lot of things going on between testing and field trips and so many evening events. So it's a very exciting month. This concludes the Assistant Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Cullis. Business Administrator comments.
First, I want to thank the Finance Committee for their hard work and support during the budget planning and process. I know it wasn't easy discussions, but they were always very supportive. And also thank you for everybody who submitted their ethics forms. Everybody's done and submitted, and we're just waiting for the Ethics Commission to approve it. And if anybody's interested in attending the New Jersey School Board Association conference this coming October, please let us know. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Kurowski. All right. It is now time to open it up for public comments. It is currently 7:57 p.m. If you are online and wish to ask a question pertaining to the agenda or district-related questions, feel free to type in your name, address, and your question online, or raise your hand. Okay, it is 7:58 p.m. We'll go ahead and close public comments. If you do have a question, you will have an opportunity during the second public comment section later in the agenda. Next item on
Mr.
the...
Kim?
Yes.
Can I make a quick comment?
Yes, please.
I forgot to bring this up earlier in the presentation of the budget. One of the interesting pieces about the budget is that some of the parts that affect the individual taxpayers are not controlled by us, i.e. the valuation for the town. So we had some interesting dynamics this year that I just wanted to share with the board because I thought it was interesting to maybe understand, and this might be interesting as we think about the demography report coming up. There was nearly a 30% increase in the number of properties that were considered farm regular and a 25% increase in the number of properties that were considered farm qualified, which are interesting. I'm not sure necessarily what that's related to, if that's individuals that are trying to find ways to get tax benefits of labeling their properties farm. I'm not sure. Vacant land was down. Residential was up about 2%. Well, it depends on if you look at the valuation or the number of properties. Commercial was up significantly. It was the biggest thing that actually helped us. If you look, we actually had a bigger increase in the budget and a lower impact on the tax versus last year. And the reason for that was primarily because the commercial valuation went up nearly 6%. So just a little bit, if you guys want to take a look at it, I just played around with some of the formulas and whatnot that Damaris had sent over. Thank you for pulling that from the town. It's really helpful to understand as you're thinking about talking to individuals that might have questions about the budget or what the impact is for them. It was because of these valuation changes, it actually was a little beneficial to the individual taxpayers because once again, I think it was 3.01%, where last year it was a 4% effect on the average tax impact percent increase. I think that's on the average home, or overall that is, right? It's not on the individual home. So anyway, it was just a little bit of an interesting fact that, once again, to Dr. Forte's point, there's gloom and doom when some of this is negative, but there was a little bit of a positive when it comes to some of the effect on the taxpayers.
Great. Thank you for that.
For the information, yes, I totally forgot about that piece.
Was that information in one of our folders?
I can share that.
Mrs. Growski had sent it out in email. I don't know if it went to everybody, but we can send it out.
I
Yeah.
believe it was Finance Committee, but I
Okay.
can share that as well.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. And did those numbers include the new developments?
It includes anything that's evaluated property in the town, I believe, that's being used for the this upcoming year's valuation. Is that correct, Mrs. Growski?
So it's comparing last year's to this year's.
It's the properties that are online basically as new developments, I believe.
Thank you. Okay, moving on with the agenda. Old business, action to be taken. Mrs. Adelis, can you walk us through that, please?
I sure can. I move to approve the following resolutions under old business. A, resolve that the board approve the following reports from March 2025, the Treasurer of School Monies Report and the Board Secretary reports. B, the education reports, report of student enrollment for March 2025, the report of Health Office, March 2025, HIB VV 242506, HIB VV 242510, HIB VV 242511, HIB VV 242512, and HIB LV 242504. As well as see the minutes for the March 10th meeting, the special meeting of March 18th, and the regular session meeting for March 24th.
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Adelis,
Yes.
Ms. Astorino,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Kim.
Yes. New business action to be taken. Mr. Capello, can you walk us through personnel, please?
I'd be happy to. If there are no objections under personnel, I would like to move items 1 through 10. Item 1 includes new hires, resignations, retirements, employee leaves, extra pay, salary, and adjustments. I point your attention to the addendum. We're adding item U to number 1. That's a new teacher hire. And also we have a retirement, Carol Timensky, so we congratulate her. Continuing on, items 2 through 10 include FMLA leaves, various leaves actually, pretty much all the way through number 10, which is a approval of a new substitute.
I would just say sorry,
I just need a second from.
Sorry,
the board.
second.
Okay, thank you. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say we have 2 new staff members who are on here. So can hopefully in a few minutes here, congratulations to Hallie Gabloff and Maggie Hosler.
I'll go ahead and wish those who are leaving best of luck and to congratulate Ms. Tomensky on her retirement as well. If there, excuse me, if there are no further questions or comments, roll call, please.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Adelis,
Yes.
Ms. Astorino,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Kim.
Yes. Dr. Moore, can you walk us through instruction and program, please?
Yes. I'd like to move the following resolutions under instruction and program. Under item number 1, we have the approval of the discard of the attached listing of items from the Lakeview Library. And item number 2 is to approve a presentation on walking safety to the Valley View students.
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sedalis,
Yes.
Ms. Astorino,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Kim.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is governance. So under number 1 policy, we'll be approving policies 5142, equal access of student organizations, which is a new policy. Policy 8110, attendance areas, also a new policy. And policy 0155, board committees, that was revised to include the governance committee for first reading. Number 2 is a resolution that I read during our last meeting that is for the impact of housing development policies on district enrollment. This is a resolution that that I hope to approve and then forward to legislators, local legislators, as well as state legislators. Finally, resolution number 3 is to approve the affirmative action team to conduct a needs assessment in the creation of a new comprehensive equity plan for 25 to 28, led by Mr. John Englishman.
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sedalis,
Yes.
Ms. Astorino,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Kim.
Yes. Mr. Anderson, can you walk us through finance, please?
Sure. If there are no objections under D finance, I'd like to move items 1 through 6 as a block. That includes our normal checklist as well as the final 2025-2026 budget. We have in the past read it in. I don't know if we want to go through it all. I'm okay not doing it. And then it also includes a resolution for providing milk for our students, Simply Gourmet as a commercial vendor for the lunch program for 2025-2026 school year. And the board approved the attached casualty and liability insurance broker statement. And the board approved the attached service agreement for E-rate procurement number in the agenda for the 2025-2026 school year in the amount of $4,500.
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sedalis,
Yes.
Ms. Astorino,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Kim.
Yes. Mr. Cass is not here today, so Mrs. Astorino, would you walk us through operations if you don't mind?
Sure. I move to approve the following resolutions under operations. Transportation, the attached list of field trips from Little Learner Academy for the school year. Also building and grounds, Denville Township Board of Ed approves the attached MOA and CCM for 25-26 school year. Denville Board of Ed approved the attached quote from Tri-State Flagpole and gifts in the amount of $5,409 paid for maintenance reserve. And this is to paint and repair the flagpoles district-wide.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sedalis,
Yes.
Ms. Astorino,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Kim.
Yes. Okay, so for good of a cause, committee reports, correspondent discussion items, which includes board meeting highlights and classroom space consideration possible discussions, as well as others. We'll start off with board meeting highlights. Dr. Forte, do you have some suggestions to start off with?
How about these? The board approved the 25-26 budget. We'll add the link to the PowerPoint. The board approved the pedestrian safety program for Valley View students, and that Dr. Grip will present the demographic study on May 12th.
Awesome, thank you. Did you receive a lot of entries for the Persons of the Year award as well, or should we make another announcement?
We had more than 50, so it's a decent amount.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Could we also add the donation from the high school? I think that the boys worked really hard.
That's going
was
to
a
be in
great
the
one.
next, that's at the next
Oh,
meeting.
Okay, so
Because
that could go in the
It'll
next
be
meeting.
approved, yeah.
Okay, so we'll wait till the last.
Go ahead.
I was just saying there was nothing in the agenda about that. Okay, no, I was just confused. Okay.
Yeah, I was just announcing it, but it'll be approved at the May 19th agenda, and we'll put it on there.
Excellent. Before or in between our executive session and the start of the official public session, there was some conversation about HIB and how HIB from the state level seems to be missing the mark. And I was just wondering if we can sort of officially have that conversation here, and wanted to sort of get the thoughts of some board members on how they felt about the HIB process in general.
I'll start. I think that, and having been a teacher for many, many years, I think that while it was introduced with the best of intentions, it has become quite restrictive in what it addresses and the way in which it quantifies and qualifies what constitutes as a HIB. And I feel as though the state is genuinely missing the mark. And if we're looking to make students feel safe and protected, we may need to have that discussion where we further expand what constitutes as HIB, that it can't be so isolating.
Is it okay if yeah, I mean, kind of just to tag on to that, I think the other piece that I see, and I think we see often, is that there is a disconnect between what the community and parents think HIB is and what it actually is. And I think that causes a lot of unfair expectations and unmet expectations. So to me, that's a big part of the problem, is the communication of what HIB really is and what it does and what it means has just not been communicated well to parents. I mean, for a long time as a board member, I had a lot of questions about it, and I still have questions about really what it is and when it applies, when it doesn't. So
I think it's interesting. I pulled up, what is the goal of the HIB loss, right? Let's start at that, because I think that we often get wrapped up in so many details when we go through these HIB reports. So this is from New Jersey School Board Association. The Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act was signed into law in 2010 to help prevent, report, investigate, and respond to incidents of harassment, intimidation, and bullying of students that occur on school grounds or in certain circumstances off school grounds. So if you think about those different pillars, I think we need to think through that. Has it done a good job preventing? I would actually make the argument in some ways it really has, because I think even students know about it, right? So is it always going to fix everything? No. Is it perfect? No. But I think it has done a little bit of a good job to at least prevent some of it, I think, right? Very hard to determine. Report, this is where I go crazy on it, because the reporting is the problem, because it just goes nowhere. It's so great, we reported it and it sits in a file somewhere that I don't even know where it is, that I'm not sure even who looks at it later, right? Investigate and respond. I think at the end of the day, those are interesting too, right? Investigate, yes. I think in some ways the law has helped us investigate a little bit better, at least give some format to the investigation. Respond, that's what's interesting too. I think how we respond to it, I'm not sure what the right answer is on response, right? And do we respond differently to HIB than we respond to something else? I don't know if that's the case either. So, and I think that's the hard part to Mr. Capello's point, is that maybe this is a message we need to get out to the community, that whether it's state certified as HIB or not, if it affects a student, we work very hard at the district to make sure that student feels safe in the school. So I don't know, that's just, but I agree, the law gets really, really complex with the reporting piece. The reporting is really, really difficult. And I think it some ways is very restrictive, in some ways is very difficult to determine. And when we have to bring a attorney in to determine some of these, the way to read it and understand it, I think we're missing the point of what we're trying to get to.
I couldn't agree with more. I think from my perspective, there might be this sort of impression that if something is reported as HIB, then a response will happen. However, if something is not reported as HIB, then it's either swept under the rug or there's no response. And for me, I find that sort of head scratching, because I do believe that one way or another, as Mike said, we want our children to be safe. So it shouldn't matter if it's HIB or not. It shouldn't matter if it's. Let me take a step back, because we definitely want to make sure that we sort of teach the right things, because there are some things that are just simply unacceptable. Now, if it is sort of misbehaving, or just doing the wrong things at the wrong time, then there's still consequences. And, I don't know if we're communicating that as well, that there still is a response. We need to, whether the state classifies it as one thing, that, and we have to report it, that's one thing. But from a district side, we do our due diligence that's required by the state, but we also make sure that we keep our children safe and that we make them feel safe. I think that's so, I almost feel like this is not a separate thing, but it's all encompassing. And oh, by the way, this happens to be HIB as well. We want to, our first and primary goal is we keep our children safe. If we have to report it as harassment or intimidation or bullying, we do that because that's a reporting feature. But our primary focus should be the prevention of whatever that behavior is, and then the response, to ensure that there's protection and safety.
Yep. Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to add one thing, because you raised something that actually I don't think I articulated well. I think it's kind of HIB there's been a value associated to HIB from the victim side, that if it isn't HIB, then it's a loss for the victim, for the victim. And if it is HIB, then it's a loss for the perpetrators. And I say, so again, I think that if we can take that out of it, and I think to your point, Mr. Kim, it shouldn't be considered that everything has to be HIB for me to feel that my kid is safe, right? I mean, I think that's kind of where we've ended up with this law. So thank you I think you really helped articulate that.
We have a letter on the website that we created a few years ago. We've updated it. I just sent it to our team to look at it again, update it, put it back out. Maybe we even include it in every opening packet, something like that, that talks a lot like, what is the HIB law? What exactly does that mean? Maybe we need to add something about what if it's not HIB? What happens then? Something like that. So we'll address it that way as well. But I think it's a good conversation of what you're talking about.
Yeah, just to make it clear, because there's two factors that I think are really, really important for the parents to know, is that there's HIB, and then there's harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And we've said plenty of times that students have been harassed, but it's not HIB, right? And I think because they're using the same language, that parents are assuming that if it's not HIB, we're saying that their child wasn't harassed, or their child wasn't intimidated, or their child wasn't bullied, when in fact they could have been all three of those things and it not be a HIB by the definition that we've been given. And that's problematic when you're using terms two ways. But I think that's why it has to be repeated over and over again, because if a parent is hearing, yeah, I get it, there's these consequences, but you're saying my child wasn't harassed, and I know that he or she was, and we agree with that. There have been plenty of times where we've said that someone has been harassed, but it didn't meet the definition of HIB that was set up by the state.
I mean, I think that's a great comment. And I don't know if the legislators, because I think the legislators in good faith, they had good reason to create this, right? There were tragic incidences where, young students would take their lives because they were bullied to the point where they just felt no need to move on, which is tragic. We want to avoid that. And I keep feeling like we're losing sight of that. Whether the state defines it as HIB, as Dr. Moore articulated so well, it shouldn't matter. We want to make sure that there's no tragedies and they're safe. And so, yes, I think there might be, from a governance standpoint, and this is something I've been thinking about through a number of conversations, is, can we start reaching out to the legislators and say, hey, listen, we're struggling with this because you created this structure, this reporting structure that almost sounds like the children are not being harassed, even though they feel like they are being harassed. So, and maybe we could ask the legislators to help clarify that. I also want to task our committee to maybe look at some of the policies and see, are there any policies that we can maybe clean up so that the administration and the school district could have better tools and just sort of maybe tweak how they run these reports or these investigations, so that communicating, okay, we want to make sure that little Amy is safe, or John is safe, Jimmy is safe, whoever it is, that's our primary goal. We want to stop the behaviors. Oh, by the way, we have to do this reporting to determine if it is state defined as HIB, but we will still make sure that your child is safe. And I think that's sort of one perspective or one goal that I would like to sort of have in terms of our board. Like, let's look through the policies and see what we can do to try to help clarify that for the administration. So. Great. Thank you for entertaining that conversation. So, okay. Are there any other questions or comments for the good of the cause?
Just briefly, I wanted to make mention about I do the Lakeview PTA, and I say this to them periodically. It's only 4 years since my first child entered school, and I remember I had no idea what the PTA did. I mean, half the things that I ascribed to the school were actually funded by the PTA, and it just kind of floored me to see that. And I've always struggled to figure out how to articulate that. But I just wanted to mention briefly a couple of the things that, at least on the Lakeview side, that they contribute to. And one of the large numbers is the academic and cultural enrichment. So that includes the author day, the field trips, and the world dance. And they contribute $15,671 for that alone. There's the T-shirts that they give out. There's a Veterans Day celebration that's several $1,000s. There's staff and teacher mini grants that are several $1,000s. The Sunshine Committee is several $1,000s. When you tally this up, it's a huge contribution to the school that, given the state of our budget, wouldn't happen without them raising money, without them volunteering their time. And before I was a parent, I'm sure I considered many of these things to be, school initiated and school funded things. And it's just worth highlighting on a number of occasions, reminding people of how much the PTA does do for our kids.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Moore. That was very well said. Okay. All right. If there's no other comments for the good of the cause, we'll go ahead and open it up for the public to ask some questions or have some comments at 8:24 p.m. So seeing no one in the chambers and no one left online, we'll go ahead and close it at 8:24 p.m. There is no need for a second executive. Great. So
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Abstentions? We are now adjourned at 8:24 p.m.